What's up? What's going on, guys? Man, I am stoked to show you this amazing flow exercise that is going to help your chops. Let's get into it. We're looking at 5 patterns, guys. We're going to break down each one, and then I'm going to show you the whole exercise. Now, we're going to be using all the toms on this as well, because we want to be able to flow around all of the toms here. Now, if you have a 5-piece kit like me, perfect, you're going to follow right along. If you have a smaller set, a 4-piece kit, no big deal. You just play the same amount of notes that I'm playing. You just play one of the voices twice. That's all you got to do. Now, the 5 patterns are not super complicated, difficult patterns. They are super useful. Sometimes the simplest patterns are the most useful and effective at just moving around the kit. But you gotta have a good 5-10 patterns that you're really familiar with, that you know like the back of your hand, in your pocket, so you can whip it out anytime. And there's no better way to really internalize these patterns than to play an exercise that makes you have to know them right on the spot, because you're playing each one back to back. So that's what this exercise is going to do. It's also just going to be a burnout exercise, man. Your kick, your foot's going to be on fire after this. Your hands are going to be burning. It's going to really punish your weak link, okay? Your weak link is going to be exposed through this. You're going to be like, man, I really got to work on my double kick speed more, or man, I got to work on my left hand. Whatever it is, you're going to know what your weak link is, because that's the one that's going to be hurting the most. But this is a great exercise to just push through, practice at all times. Once you memorize it, it's so fun to play, okay? So, first things first, enough ranting and raving. Let's get into pattern number 1. Pattern number 1, let's break down the sticking. We have 2 4-note groupings, okay? And they're going to be alternating. Each time we're starting with the opposite hand. Now the first note of this 4-note grouping is a unison note. 2 notes at the same time. Then a single note, then kick, kick. Very simple. Now, in the orchestration that we're doing here, we're going to put our left hand on the rack, right hand on the snare. Then that second note, we're going to bring the left hand down to the snare and play kick, kick. Here's what this looks like. Now, simple enough, right? Let's go to the second 4-note grouping. It's the same sticking, just in reverse. This time, put your right hand on the other rack tom number 2, left hand on the snare, and you're going to be bringing your right hand down to the snare for that second note. Okay, here's what that looks like. So, back to back, left, then right, looks like this. Pretty fun, right? Now when you get that up to speed, it's like this sweeping motion. Hitting a rack tom, bringing it down to the snare. And that's where you want to get it. So let's count both of those 4-note groupings after you alternate left and then right as one time. So you have a total of 8 notes, right? We're going to be playing that 4 times over, okay? So it would be a total of 32 notes. And the way that we're going to orchestrate this is just very simple. We're going to be playing left on the rack, right on the rack number 2, left on the high rack, then right on the floor tom. We want to bring in that floor tom on there. So that's the way I like to do it. You don't have to follow my exact way of doing it, but just try to stick with me through the lesson. You can always change it up and do it whatever orchestration you want, but try it this way, getting started out, so you can memorize it. So again, left rack, right floor. Let me show you what it looks like nice and slow. Notice I repeated it. So you're playing it a total of 4 times if you're counting left and right as one time. Okay? That's pattern number 1. The second pattern we're playing in this exercise is the super simple but awesome and always useful right, left, kick, kick. Can't go wrong with that 4-note grouping, right? And we're just going to work it down and back around the toms. Here's what it looks like. So playing it just like that is going to equal the same amount of notes as last time, right? We have a grouping of 4, and we're playing it 8 times. So 32 notes altogether, and that's pattern number 2. Hey guys, real quick before we get to the rest of the lesson, I want you to take advantage of the free drum training I've put together. It's a 30-minute drum masterclass, basically, because it teaches you so many important training methods, so many important things you got to know on the drums. Most self-taught drummers today are missing out on these things. If you want to build a solid foundation on the drums and you want to make sure you're not missing out on some important thing and maybe you're just learning online, this is a great way to make sure that you're covering all your bases and you're really getting well-rounded training. So the link is down in the description, or click the pop-up tab on this window and it'll take you there. Watch the rest of the lesson and then check that out. It's totally free. I'll see you there. Thanks. Let's move on to pattern number 3. Pattern number 3, we're getting into a little bit of accents and ghost notes on this one, but it's still super simple sticking. So we have right, kick, kick, right, left, kick, kick, left. Now, the way we're going to play that is that first right is accented, then kick, kick, then the second right is ghosted. So think of that as 1. Right, kick, kick, and then ghost right. Then we have left, kick, kick, left, and we're playing it the same way. The first left is accented, the second left is ghosted. So this one's like a teeter-totter effect with the dynamics, because you're playing an accent, then ghosted, and on different voices it has this cool effect. So the way we're going to play this is we're going to start with the right hand on the rack tom, then work it down, and then back around. We're going to keep the left hand on the snare the whole time. Here's what it looks like, really slow. So that whole string of notes from the right to the left is 8 notes, and we're going to be playing that 4 times. So if you start on your rack and you go down and then back up, you're going to end on this rack tom number 2. So again. So that whole grouping, each the right and the left side, is 8 notes long, and you're repeating it 4 times to stick with this theme of 32 notes so it feels good played as an exercise. Now, let's move on to exercise part number 4. All right, so pattern number 4 is a little different than the others. It's a great feel, super useful to know. We're going to be playing a 12-note grouping here. What we're playing is a paradiddle-diddle, followed by kick-kick, followed by right-left, followed by kick-kick. So it's not super complicated. It's just a longer series of notes, and it works great when you're moving that around the kit. So the paradiddle-diddle, you play that as right, left, right, right, left, left. The 2 singles are accented. Then the doubles following are all ghosted. So make sure you play it that way. Then the next thing that we have is a double kick, followed by 2 singles, both accented, and then another kick, kick to finish it off. So the whole grouping looks like this. So orchestrating this 12-note grouping isn't too complicated. We're going to simplify it for this exercise, even though there's a lot of different ways we can orchestrate that around the kit. Just for the sake of this exercise, what I want you to do is keep your left hand on the snare the whole time. And you're only going to be moving around the toms with your right hand on those right singles, okay? So all the doubles are always going to be on the snare. It's just when you start the paradiddle and when you play that second singles, right-left, that right hand is going to be moving down each time you play that new accented right, okay? So here's the way it looks. Follow along with me really slow. I'll play it. So you might be thinking, how come you stopped right there after the paradiddle and didn't play the final right-left kick-kick? The reason I stopped right there is because we just played 32 notes, and so if we're going to be following this exercise where we're playing these 32-note patterns each time, I don't want to make an exception and play this one, and then it throws off the whole organized system of playing 32 notes each pattern. So really what you're doing is you're playing the 12-note grouping all the way through one time, all the way through the second time. The third time you're just playing the first 8 notes, which is the paradiddle diddle, kick, kick. So it actually ends up being pretty cool the way that works. Again, here's what it looks like. All right, and that's it for pattern number 4. Let's move on to the final pattern. This one's gonna throw you for a loop. Just kidding, this one is so easy. All it is a unison note with our hands and a kick. That's right, this one is the burnout one, right? Where we're really stressing our kick drum and working on those singles between our hands and kick. That's something that you gotta practice. This may be the most challenging one. So the way we're playing this one, guys, is we're playing our right hand covering the toms, left hand's on the snare, right? And we're gonna start this time on the floor tom, work our way up and then back down. And that's gonna happen because it's only 2 notes that we're counting 16 times. So here's what it looks like. Super simple, but it's not easy. Once you get down each pattern and you memorize it, then you can put it all together. And the goal is that we go from pattern 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without stopping all the way through to a click. Obviously start on a slow BPM. You got to memorize this stuff and then you can start to bump up your speed and really test yourself. Here's what it looks like. Let's do it. Alright guys, so you learned the 5 patterns and you learned this amazing exercise to develop flow. But the next step is you really have to practice it hard. You really got to put it to use and memorize these patterns, or else it's never going to show up in your playing and you're never going to see the results. Put it into practice. Practice it for a month straight, every week, and then let me know how it goes for you. Also guys, you can support the channel by subscribing if you're new, commenting down below, sharing the videos, liking the videos, all that good stuff. Anyways guys, thanks for sticking with me through the whole lesson here. Had a good time. I'll see you on the next one. See you later.